What's going on, guys? Boost Auto here, and in today's video we're going to be installing Lumastep M2 and Boost Auto power running boards for 2019 plus Dodge Ram 2500 and 3500 trucks. So let's get into it. Introducing Lumastep M2, the successor of Boost Auto's Lumastep M1, the one-of-a-kind light-up running board that took the industry by storm. Lumastep M2 features the same lighting technology with all the lighting functions you know, but with the upgrades that we'll know you'll love. Experience the comfort of our premium auto retract and auto deploy technology featuring heavy-duty front motors on both sides that output over 2 times the torque of some of the other stuff out there. Boost Auto powered running boards feature all the awesome features from Lumastep M2 without the light up functionality for those who love to keep a low profile. These boards are just as rugged and powerful as Lumastep M2, with the benefit of being nearly invisible when not in use. This specific procedure applies to 2019 and newer crew cab and mega cab Dodge Ram 2500 and 3500 trucks. To get the latest on fitment availability and to purchase these running boards, visit our website at boostauto.com. On this vehicle, we're going to begin on the driver's side. Our first mounting location is located at the front of the vehicle, and our second mounting location is located at the rear. Depending on your vehicle, there may be a mass dampener in the way of your front bracket on one side or both sides of the truck. The mass dampener may look like this, or it may be a rubber dampener. However, steps are the same for removal. If the dampener is in the way of bracket installation, use the included dampener relocation plate to move the dampener. Here is our first mounting location. Now, depending on your vehicle, you may have open holes like this vehicle, or you may have threaded holes. If you have threaded holes, you'll take your assembled hardware, a 13mm hex bolt, 13mm flat washer, and 13mm lock washer, place your bracket and install it directly. Now, if you have open holes, you'll have a bolt plate that you'll need to install. To do so, start with grabbing a 13mm bolt and installing it on the other end. Once you got that installed, you can now fish in your bolt plate down into the rocker panel of the vehicle and feed out the stud right here at the mounting hole. Once you feed it through, you can now take your plastic retainer and install it over the bolt plate. And now we can remove the bolt on the other end we installed to fish in and proceed with aligning it at the hole at the other mounting hole. Take your bracket labeled DF for driver front and line it up with the stud. Now take your flat washer and your 13mm lock nut and install it. Once you got that installed, now you'll align the other end of your bolt plate up with the hole and install your 13mm bolt with your lock washer and flat washer. Next, tighten down the hardware, but don't tighten down all the way, as we'll be doing further adjustments down the line. Now you'll take your support bracket labeled driver front and you'll line up the welded nuts to the mounting holes on the mounting bracket and the open holes to the pinch weld. Start with sliding it in. And then at the pinch weld where the open holes are at on the support bracket, you'll take your welded nut plate and slide it over on the back side and line it up. Now you'll have 4 points where you'll install your hardware. You'll take the 10mm hex bolt and the 10mm flat washer and proceed with installing it through the pinch weld into the support bracket. And do the same at the second mounting point on the pinch weld. For the underside of the support bracket, use your 13mm hex bolts and 13mm flat washers. Next, tighten down the hardware, but don't tighten down all the way, as we'll be doing further adjustments down the line. Next, we'll go to the rear of the vehicle and install our bracket that is labeled DR for driver rear. Just like the front, take your bolt, install it on the other end of the stud plate. Now we can fish it in. Once you get it to stick out on the bottom mounting hole, take your plastic retainer and install it. Next, we'll install our rear bracket labeled DR for driver rear. Now, depending on your cab size, you may have a different mounting location. For your crew cab guys, you'll be mounting right here at these 2 mounting points. And your support bracket will mount right here
at these two mounting points closest to these two.
For mega cab applications, you'll be mounting right here. And your support bracket will line up with the holes closer to the mounting points. Since this is a crew cab truck, we'll be mounting it at the appropriate mounting points on the bracket.
Just like the front, install a flat washer and a lock nut over the stud coming out of the stud plate. Take your assembled hardware and install it.
Next, tighten down the hardware, but don't tighten down all the way, as we'll be doing further adjustments down the line.
With our rear bracket now mounted, take your support bracket labeled DR and continue with mounting it from the pinch weld to the mounting bracket. The side with the open holes will line up with the pinch weld, while the side with the welded nut will line up to the mounting bracket.
For crew cab vehicles like this one, you'll be aligning your support bracket to the two holes on the outmost side. For mega cab applications, you'll be mounting it at these two holes towards the center.
With that, we'll take your welded nut plate and slide it over the support bracket on the back side of the pinch weld. Take your hardware, the 13mm hex bolt with a lock washer and the smaller 13mm flat washer, and install it.
Use your 10mm hardware to thread through the pinch weld into the support bracket. Next, tighten down the hardware, but don't tighten down all the way, as we'll be doing further adjustments down the line.
Now perform the same steps on the other side. Remember, your brackets will be labeled PR and PF for passenger front and passenger rear. With our brackets now installed, we can head over to the front of the vehicle and open our hood and disconnect our negative terminal at our battery, and if you have an auxiliary battery, that at this time too. On the driver's side, locate your negative battery terminal and start with disconnecting it. And now we can do the same at our auxiliary battery. Next, we can route our control unit harness down to the brackets we just installed. Locate your gray connector on the control unit harness labeled driver's side motor, and we'll proceed with taping it to strand out metal piece. For our M2 installers, you'll locate your lighting harness with the ring terminals and locate the two black connectors on the end, and also tape it to strand out metal piece to route it down. We'll now route our strand out metal piece back by the firewall on the driver's side, down by the wheel well to our mounting bracket. When routing your harness, stay away from any moving components or heat. Once you feed it on down, pull the strand out metal piece through. Untape it. Take the gray connector we routed down and the gray connector from your motor and plug it in. Next, for our M2 installers, you can do the same thing. Take your two black connectors and plug them in to the corresponding spots. Secure the harness away from any heat or moving components. Perform the same steps on the passenger side, routing down the gray connector to the bracket. For our Lumastep M2 installers, you'll also be routing the two black connectors on the lighting harness without the ring terminals on this side. After routing our harnesses down to our brackets, over on the driver's side by the battery, we'll be taking our control unit harness and our control unit and plugging it in. Mount the control unit suitable for you anywhere near the battery, away from any heat or moving components. You can use the tabs on the side of the control unit to mount it. You can now take your black receiving connector on your lighting harness and route it down to your headlight connector, and repeat the steps on the passenger side. For our M2 installers who option for your rock light harness, you'll be taking your white wire and routing it down to the headlight as well.
Next, for our M2 installers, we'll need to remove the airbox to gain access to our headlight connectors. For non-M2 installers, please skip ahead to routing the control unit harness to the signal tap locations. Start by removing the 12 push-pin fasteners holding in the cowl cover at the front end of the engine bay. Then, remove the last two push-pin fasteners located at the back end of the cowl cover. Once removed, go ahead and remove the cowl cover from the truck. Next, locate the sensor on the airbox and remove it. Then remove the gray connector located to the left of the sensor we just removed. Lower on the airbox, remove this harness. Back on top, loosen the hose clamp and slide the air tubing off the airbox. Next, we'll need to remove the air inlet duct. Remove the 2 bolts located on both sides of the duct. Slide it out of place on the left side of the duct and remove it from the truck. With that out of the way, we can finish up removing the airbox. Pull the airbox upward, removing it from the rubber grommets holding it into place. Then locate the headlight connector. Please note we're performing the installation on a Ram with base style headlights. Your connectors will look slightly different if you have premium style headlights. Pull back on the red locking tab and pull to disconnect the connector from its housing. Your headlight connector will be configured in one of 2 ways, and so your wiring will slightly differ. For the 2 types of base style headlights, you'll have this 12-pin headlight connector. For premium style headlights, you'll have this 16-pin connector. Regardless of which headlight you have, you can either go with our simple plug-and-play adapter, which connects directly to your headlight harness to add lighting features to your boards, or use our hardwire adapter to tap to the wires at the headlight directly. We'll first show you how to install the plug-and-play adapter that you can option with your running boards. Then we'll look at how the hardwire adapter connects to the 16-pin premium style headlight. Lastly, we'll look at how the hardwire adapter connects to the 12-pin base style headlight. Please skip ahead to your truck specific section. We'll first show you how to install the plug and play adapter that you can option with your running boards. We're performing this part on a truck with base style headlights, but the process is the exact same for premium style headlights. Starting on the driver's side of the truck with the headlight connector removed, insert the plug and play adapter into the connector. Then attach the black receiving connector to the headlight connector attached to your plug and play adapter. Once that's connected, install the other end of the plug and play adapter to the headlight housing. On the passenger side, install the plug and play adapter in the same way. If you did not option for the plug and play adapter, your kit will come with our hardwire adapter. Here's a breakdown of that. The red and yellow wire with a quick disconnect is to tap to the turn signal wire on your headlight connector. Turn signal will come standard for all running boards. The blue wire with a quick disconnect is for enabling running light if you option for it. If you did not option for running light, this wire will not be active. You can simply tape the disconnect out of the way. The white wire with the butt connector is for rock light if you option for it. If you did not option for rock light, this wire will not be active, so be sure to tape the butt connector out of the way. If you option for our hardwire adapter for your premium style headlights, please follow these next steps. If you option for our hardwire adapter for your base style headlights, please skip ahead to the next section. The headlight connector on this truck is a 16-pin connector. Starting on the driver's side of the truck with the connector removed, be sure to cut back some of the tape so you can tap further up on the wires. Start by tapping to pin 5 for turn signal. Looking at the wire end of the connector with the connector tab on top, pin 5 is located on the top row, 4th from the right. Use the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Go ahead and take the red and yellow wire from your hardwire adapter and connect it to the T-tap here. Next, if you option for running light, tap to pin 7. Looking at the wire end of the connector with the connector tab on top, pin 7 is located on the top row, 2nd from the right. Use the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Go ahead and take the blue wire from your hardwire adapter and connect it to the T-tap here. Next, we'll take the black connector on the hardwire adapter and connect it to the black receiving connector from the main harness. Once done, go ahead and install the connector back to the headlight housing. Then move over to the passenger side and gain access to the headlight connector in the same way. Tapping on the passenger side is the same as the driver's side. Go ahead and follow the same steps just like on the driver's side of the truck. If your truck came equipped with base style headlights, follow these next steps. The headlight connector on base style headlights is a 12-pin connector. Starting on the driver's side of the truck with the headlight connector already removed, start by tapping to pin 5 for turn signal. Looking at the wire end of the connector with the connector tab on top, pin 5 is located on the top row, 2nd from the right. Use the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Go ahead and take the red and yellow wire from your hardwire adapter and connect it to the T-tap here. Next, if you option for running light, tap to pin 8. Looking at the wire end of the connector with the connector tab on top, pin 8 is located on the bottom row, second from the left. Use the provided red T-tap and press until it clicks in place. Go ahead and take the blue wire from your hardwire adapter and connect it to the T-tap here. Next, we'll take the black connector on the hardwire adapter and connect it to the black receiving connector from the main harness. Once done, go ahead and reinstall the connector back to the headlight housing. Then move over to the passenger side and gain access to the headlight connector in the same way. Tapping on the passenger side is the same as the driver's side. Now take your white pass-through connector, route it over to the other side, and plug it in. On the driver's side, we'll be routing our signal input wires into the cabin. To do so, we'll be routing through this grommet here. Take a straight out metal piece and poke through this grommet here. Once you poke through the grommet, we can now pull it up and we'll be taping our signal input wires here to route it into the cabin. And for our M2 installers who option for your rock light harness, you'll be taping here as well. For those of you who option for our rock light switch, disconnect the wires from the back of the switch prior to tapping. Then tape all wires to the straightened out metal piece. We can now pull the straightened out metal piece through. Once we pass it through, we can now untape it. We'll start with tapping the signal input wires. For M2 installers who option for rock light, you can set these aside for now. To access our signal input tapping location, we'll need to remove this panel. First, peel back on the weather stripping along the door. We'll be removing this side panel here. To do so, pry up on it using a trim tool. Next, to gain further access, we'll be popping out this panel right here that holds our light switch. With that out of the way, we could also disconnect it. Pull up on this tab and then press it in and remove it. Looking at it with the panel we just removed, we'll be removing this green module right in there. To remove it, you'll lift it up and towards the steering wheel. On the side panel I just removed, I'll access it that way and lift up on it and out towards the steering wheel of the vehicle. You can see on the back end there's two tabs and you'll have to lift up. On your module, there's going to be a row that is not full and has some open slots. We're going to be tapping to the last connector in that row closest to the openings. We'll be tapping at pin 1 for signal input high. Pin 1 is located at the top where the connector is pointing up top closest to the center of the module. Clamp to the wire using the wider side of the control unit tap. Press until you hear it click in place. Take your signal input wire labeled high and install it on the other end of your control unit tap. Press until it clicks in place. Now we'll be tapping pin 2. Pin 2 is right under the wire we just tapped and is facing towards the outside of the module and is on the bottom row of the tab on that connector. Take your wider side of the control unit tab, place it over the wire and install it. Now press until it clicks in place. Now install your signal input low wire into the other end of the control unit tab. Press until it clicks in place. You can now reinstall the module. Remember, the module on the back side, it has two clips that'll slide down and lock in. The top will line up at this bracket here and then at this hole down here. Maneuver it into place. Once it's in place, align it so the tabs slide in and push down. We can now reinstall the trim bezel with our light switch. Install the connector, press it in, slide the red tab in, and then line it up and press in. Now install your side trim panel, line it up with the holes to the trim pieces on the back. Once you're lined up, press it in place. And now we can reinstall our weather stripping. Line it up, secure it back in place. For M2 installers that option for our rock light harness, follow these next steps. If not, please skip ahead. You may want to have your headlight connector disconnected to have better access to your plug and play adapter or hardwire adapter. Connect the white wire from the rock light harness to the white wire on your adapter. Then repeat the steps on the passenger side of the truck. Back inside the vehicle, locate a suitable spot to mount the rock light switch and drill a hole into the dash. Once the hole is drilled, install the rock light switch. Connect the white wire to slot 1 and the red wire to slot 2. Next, we can reinstall the airbox. Go ahead and lower the airbox into place and push down so it fits back into the rubber grommets that hold it in place. Reattach the air tubing to the airbox. Then, tighten up the hose clamp. Reinstall the harness at the bottom of the airbox. Near the top of the airbox, reconnect the gray connector. Then reinsert the sensor to the right of the connector. With the airbox back into place, we can put back the air inlet duct. Snap it into place on the left side. Reinstall the 2 bolts holding it into place. Then reinstall the cowl cover. Reinsert the 12 pushpin fasteners at the front of the cowl cover and the final 2 pushpins at the back of the cowl cover.
Next, we'll be installing our positive and negative. For our positive, we'll be installing it on the driver's side at the battery positive terminal. Set your cover aside. We'll be removing this nut here. And on your control unit harness, take your battery positive wire and install it here. Now, for our M2 installers, take your lighting harness, red wire with the ring terminal, install it here as well. And for those of you who option for our rock light harness, you'll take the wire with the red ring terminal, install it here as well. And now, reinstall the removed nut. And now reinstall the battery cover. You can now reinstall the negative terminal on the battery. And then we'll be removing this nut here. Now on your control unit harness, locate your battery negative wire and install it here. And for our Lumastep M2 installers, take the black wire with the ring terminal and install it here as well. Reinstall the once removed nut. If you have an auxiliary battery, reinstall that at this time as well. We'll now be installing our running boards.
In front of me, you can see we have our Boost Auto powered running boards as well as our Lumastep M2 powered light up running boards. They install exactly the same, however for Lumastep M2 powered light up running boards, you'll have your module in front as well as the lighting strip that goes across the length of the board.
Before installing our running boards, we'll install our carriage bolts on the back side of the board. Start with flipping the board over. We'll be installing our carriage bolts on the back side and this channel of the running board. On the opposite end of your Boost Auto nameplate on the running board, slide in your carriage bolts right here. Slide the carriage bolts in the approximate location of your bracket. With our power now installed to our running boards, we can now deploy them. To deploy your front running board, simply open the front or rear door, and then you can manually deploy the back bracket.
If your kit included these spacer plates, install them on top of the mounting brackets like so. If not, please ignore.
We can now proceed with installing our running boards onto our brackets. Remember, your Boost Auto nameplate will face towards the front of the vehicle. Line your T-bolts with the holes on the bracket. Now we can install our carriage nuts. We can now start with our alignment procedure on our running boards. To do so, slide your running board all the way back. Once you do it, retract the running board, and while it retracts, help it back into place if needed. Once it's retracted, we can now adjust it to the desired length and tighten everything down. Now plug your lighting extension harness to the corresponding connector slots on your lighting module and your end cap. Take your harness guide and install it. However, if your harness guide is too long, you can trim it to the exact length. Now take your harness into your harness guide and install it into the channel of your running board. To pull the slack back on your extension harness, loosen this screw and this screw here. Now we can pull the slack through. Now tighten the 2 screws back down. Once all that is now installed, we can go back and tie up any loose harnesses or wires away from any heat or moving components.
Now, here's a quick overview of the cleaning procedure for your new running boards. On either side of the vehicle, simply open the door and allow the board to deploy. With the board now deployed, step on the running board and close the door. After a few seconds, the board will then try to retract. Thanks to our pinch sensing technology, the board will stay deployed for ease of cleaning. Simply take your foot off the boards and proceed to clean. If you optioned your running boards with step pads, we highly recommend our step pad cleaning solution to prolong the longevity of your step pads. Once done, you can open and close the door to retract the running boards.
And that wraps up this install for Lumastep M2 and Boost Auto power running boards for 2019 and newer Dodge Ram 2500 and 3500 trucks.
The products shown in this video and so much more can be purchased on our website at boostauto.com. We're proud to offer a wide selection of products, parts, and accessories for your truck or SUV to take your build to the next level. To watch more videos like this one and to find out about our newest innovative products for your vehicle, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's all for now. We'll catch you in the next one.